Once again, good morning. So we are going to start our chapter. Before that, I will just remind you, right? We were discussing about human development last day, right? So I got messages from many students that many of them had a problem with their network. There were some network issues and they were not able to hear most of the things. So I just want to recap the things which we have discussed last day. So I'm going to just recap the things. After that, we'll go into the chapter, okay? So these are some of the important points from the chapter. So we started with growth and development. What is the difference between growth and development? So we'll start from there. So growth is quantitative and value neutral. It may have a positive or a negative sign. This means that change may be either positive, showing an increase, or negative, indicating a decrease. Okay? So growth can be both positive and negative. That's what we discussed last day, right? The same way, development means a qualitative change, which is always value positive. If a change is positive, then it is development. Okay? This means that development cannot take place unless there is an increment or addition to the existing condition. No need to write all those things, okay? I will be giving you notes. I'll be giving you notes and I will be giving you this important points also so that you can easily refer to it. So no need to write anything, okay? Just listen to me. Then, development occurs when positive growth takes place. Development occurs when there is a positive change in the quality. It is not quantity, the quality matters, okay? A country's level of development was measured only in terms of its economic growth. Before, long back, the criteria which was used to define the human development of a particular country was their economic growth, okay? Important aspects of development are the idea that the quality of life people enjoy in a country, the opportunities they have and the freedom they enjoy. Rather than the income, the most important thing which should be taken into account for calculating or for delineating human development is quality of life people enjoying, the opportunities they have, the freedoms which they enjoy. These ideas were clearly spelled out for the first time in the late 80s and early 90s. Okay. The works of two South Asian economists, Dr. Mahbubul Haq and Amartya Sen, are important in this regard. I told you, Dr. Mahbubul Haq was the 14th finance minister of Pakistan. And about Amartya Sen, we all know that. He is a Nobel Prize winner, okay? He also got Bharat Ratna. The concept of human development was introduced by Dr. Mahbubul Haq. Dr. Haq has described human development as development that enlarges people's choices. It's about choices. If people have more choices, they can improve their lives. So the whole development depends upon the choices that they get. Okay. People are central to all development under this concept. These choices are not fixed but keep on changing. The choices that have to be given to people have to be changed, have to be changed according to the time. Okay. The basic goal of development is to create conditions where people can live meaningful life. People should live a meaningful life where they will be having a particular aim, a particular focus. Okay, there should be a meaning to life. You got it? Okay. The most important aspects of human development are leading a long and healthy life, being able to gain knowledge, and having enough means to be able to live a decent life. So the most important aspects of human development are living a long and a healthy life. Not only that, gaining knowledge, okay, so that they can use the resources, so they can get the opportunities to live a decent life, to gain good income for making their livelihood. The key areas in human development are access to resources, health and education. So the key areas of human development are access to resources, health and education. Okay. Then we discussed about the 4 pillars of human development. What were the 4 pillars of human development? They are equity, sustainability, productivity and empowerment. Okay. What is equity? Equity is given equal access to the opportunities. Giving equal access to the opportunities to all the people. Okay. We should not discriminate them on the basis of their caste, creed, race, whatever. Okay. that is equity. What is sustainability? Sustainability is that the opportunities and the access to resources what we are gaining today have to be given to our future generation also. So that each generation must ensure the availability of choices and opportunities to its future generation. That's what is sustainability. What is productivity? Productivity here means it depends upon the knowledge, knowledge and the health facilities of a particular human, so that when the quality of that person increases, definitely it will increase the productivity of that nation. So that is productivity. Then what is empowerment? Empowerment means to have power to make choices. Like such power comes from increasing freedom and capability. And good governance, people-oriented policies which have to be given by the government, okay? Now we will starting our chapter with approaches to human development. Okay, what are the approaches? What are the approaches to human development? That's what we are going to discuss now, okay? So what are the approaches? Let's see. There are many ways of looking at the problem of human development. Some of the important approaches are, what are the important approaches? Let's see. Important approaches are the income approach, the welfare approach, minimum needs approach, and capabilities approach. So these are the 4 important approaches to human development. You can see table 4.1, they have given a detail about this stuff, okay? So approaches to human development. Let's start with income approach, okay? This is one of the oldest approaches to human development. So the oldest approach is income approach, okay? Human development is seen as being linked to income. Always we know that. It was before also, it was like that only. Like people, like we all know that before people, like the delineating human development was based on the income, right? So it was always linked with income. The idea is that the level of income reflects the level of freedom. That's a fact, right? If a person is having apt amount of income, definitely he is having freedom. He is having freedom to choose, right? The freedom of choices, like only comes if he have the right income. If he is having the right income, definitely he is getting that freedom to enjoy all the things which he wants. Higher the level of income, higher is the level of human development. So every country or every human where the income is high, definitely the human development is also high. So I think you got what is income approach, okay? Now next one is welfare approach. What is welfare approach? This approach looks at human beings as beneficiary targets. What is beneficiary? Beneficiary or targets, what are they? So it means that human beings are beneficiaries. What about that? Of all development activities, the approach argues for higher government expenditure on education, health, social secondary, and amenities. What is that? It means that it is a government-oriented program or government-oriented approach in which the government is providing welfare policies for the particular population, in which the most stress is given to education, health, social secondary, and amenities. Okay, this is what is given. People are not participants in development, but only passive participants. Here, people are just the passive participants. They are not the active ones. The government is responsible for increasing level of human development by maximizing expenditure on welfare. So the expenditure which is used for the welfare of the people, which is depending upon each government, right? For example, in India, government every year we have budgets. You know, in every budget plan we are giving much stress for the welfare of the people rather than many other things. Most important stress is given to the welfare of the people. For that only we have 5-year plans and all. In all these plans, all these policies, stress is given for the welfare of the people. And for that, huge amount of money is being given. Okay, this is welfare approach, in which people are just passive participants. Okay, now what is basic needs approach? This approach was initially proposed by the International Labour Organization, ILO, International Labour Organization. So what are the basic needs? What are the basic needs which are being given by International Labour Organization? Let's see what are they. They are health, education, food, water supply, sanitation, and housing. So what were the identified basic necessities? They were health, which is important, education, water supply, sanitation, and housing are the 6 basic necessities, okay, or basic needs. The question of human choices is ignored and the emphasis on the provision of basic needs of defined section. In this case, there are no choices. There are no choices. Only the approach is based on these 6 things, these 6 basic needs. That is health, education, food, water supply, sanitation, and housing. Okay? Now last one, what is that? That is capability approach. So what is capability approach? The approach is associated with Professor Amartya Sen, building human capabilities in the areas of health, education, and access to resources is the key to increasing human development. So what is the approach brought up by Amartya Sen, or what is the thing which he gave stress on? He said giving good education and the areas of health, better health condition, and access to resources are the main keys to human development. How to increase human development? For that, what we have to provide? Good education, good health facilities, in the same way access to resources. Okay? So what are the important approaches to human development? They are income approach, welfare approach, basic needs approach, and capability approach. Okay? Now here you can see a small cartoon. You can see that here road length, number of hospitals, GDP and GNP is in one hand. In another hand, it is satisfaction, employment, happiness, and health. What do you think as a human being? What will you prefer? Yeah, definitely it would be the left hand of this guy, right? Satisfaction, that is the most important thing everyone wants. Employment, yeah, that's a need. Happiness, obviously. Health, definitely. And all these things are just a development in the outer circle. They are just projected as development, but actual development depend upon this. That is the reality of each person. Okay? Now, so since 1990, the United Nations Development Program, that is called UNDP, has been publishing the Human Development Report every year. This report provides a rank-wise list of all member countries according to the level of human development. The Human Development Index and the Human Poverty Index are 2 important indices to measure human development by UNDP. So what are the 2 important indices to measure human development? They are Human Development Index and Human Poverty Index, which is done by UNDP. What is UNDP? United Nations Development Program. And every year they are giving ranks to all the countries according to their Human Development Index. Okay? So, now, it is a non-income measure. Now we are going to talk a different thing. Okay? We were just telling about that Human Development Index according to a broader level. No, actually now we are discussing something else. Let's see. Sorry. It is a non-income measure. The probability of not surviving till the age of 40, the adult literacy rate, the number of people who do not have access to clean water, and the number of small children who are underweight are all taken into account to show shortfall in human development in any region. Often, the Human Poverty Index is more revealing than the Human Development Index. What do you feel? I feel the same. Human Development Index, yeah, it is showing the development index of all the countries, fine, that's fine, and what the indices which they are taking, education, health, access to resources, okay, fine, everything is good. But just see to this. The probability of not surviving till the age of 40, yeah, They are dying, most of the people are dying before the age of 40. The adult literacy rate, the people are not having education facilities. The number of people who do not have access to clean water, there are many countries who do not have clean water. They don't have access to clean water. And the number of small children who are underweight, malnutrition children when they are born. Yeah, all these things are taken up. All these things are taken up for calculating human poverty index. I think this would be a better thing. This would give a better picture of a particular place, because these are actually basic necessities, like getting clean water. That is very important. Living more than 40 age, 40 is not an age actually, right? Lots of years are being remaining. And the same way, small children, when they are born, they are malnutrition, they are underweight. These things have to be calculated. These things are calculated for developing human poverty index, okay? Looking at both these measures of human development together gives an accurate picture of the human development situation in a country. So if we just see both human development index and human poverty index of a particular country, we can just, we can just analyze the actual situation. The actual situation, then the actual scenario which is being prevailing over there can be easily analyzed if we have both human poverty index and human development index, okay? The ways to measure human development are constantly being refined, and newer ways of capturing different elements of human development are being researched. Okay, so what is this? Every day means lots of research has been going on. All these researchers are trying to find new indices, new indicators, or new components which can be included for calculating or for generating the human development index or human development process or whatever, human development progress and all. So measuring human development, okay. So the human development index ranks the countries based on their performance in the key areas of health, education, and access to resources. So human development index, right? What they do, they rank different countries, okay, based on health, education, and access to resources. These rankings are based on scores between 0 to 1. Yeah, scores are between 0 to 1. Okay. These rankings are based on a score between 0 to 1 that a country earns from its record in the key areas of human development. So the indicator chosen to assess health is the life expectancy at birth. What is life expectancy at birth? Life expectancy at birth is calculated for every country. Like if a child is born, we have a life expectancy of that child. It is approximately around, in India it's around 67.8. According to 2019, it is 67.8. Like the child will live 67 years. That's an approximate calculation, okay. At higher life expectancy means that people have a great chance of living longer and healthier life. But there are even many countries where life expectancy is more than 67, like Hong Kong and all. It's more than 80, I guess. Okay. So the now let's move on to literacy. The adult literacy rate and the gross enrollment ratio. Adult literacy rate, you know that, how much people are literate. And the gross enrollment ratio represent access to knowledge. Gross enrollment ratio is number of students who are enrolled in first standard, right? That is gross enrollment ratio. This represents access to knowledge. The number of adults who are able to read, write, and the number of children enrolled in schools show how easy or difficult it is to access knowledge in a particular country. So, what is the criteria to find that in a country access to education is good or access to education is much easy? We can just easily get it by understanding or just seeing the number of people, number of adults who can read and write, the same way the number of children enrolled in schools. Okay, in many countries, means in India, if you take the case of India, mostly in North India, the number of people enrolling may be high, but after some times, as we have discussed before, dropouts are there, right? It may be due to their due to some financial crisis, most of them are mean dropouts. Okay, so by seeing all these criteria, all these things, we can easily understand the access to education of a particular country. Okay, then access to resources is measured in terms of purchasing power. What is purchasing power? It's the income, right? It is access to resources. That is called purchasing power. It is done in US dollars. Okay, each of these dimensions is given a weightage of 1/3. Okay, the Human Development Index is a sum total of the weights assigned to all these dimensions. So what is Human Development Index? All these things, all these dimensions are given 1/3 weightage, and after that it is calculated and results are given. And results are between, the scores are between 0 to 1. Okay, the scores are between 0 to 1. The closer a score is to 1, the greater is the level of human development. So if a country is scoring very near to 1, then we can understand that the human development is much higher in that particular country. Therefore, a score of 0.983 would be considered very high, while 0.268 would mean a very low level of human development. Okay, so the score is between 0 to 1. The score is shown between 0 to 1, and a country which is having a score near to 0.983, like 0.983, we can consider that the development is much high. And if a country is getting around 0.268, we know that the development is very low. Okay, the Human Development Index measures attainments in human development. It is about attainments. Okay, it reflects what has been achieved in the key areas of human development. It reflects what has been achieved in the key areas of human development. Yet it is not the most reliable measure. This is because it does not say anything about distribution. It does not say anything about distribution. We can just know the total distribution. If a country, it's not the same. There are lots of differences, but we are not able to get the differences. It is not showing any distribution of that country. The distribution of all these dimensions cannot be measured from this particular method. Okay. The Human Poverty Index is related to the Human Development Index. So Human Poverty Index, what we were just discussing before, is related to Human Development Index also. This index measures the shortfall in human development. This index measures the shortfall in human development, and that's what we were just discussing now. Like we were discussing about that Human Poverty Index. I should not repeat it. You have got an idea about that. Okay, anyways, I will just, okay, once again I will just tell you. So it is a non-income measure, right? It's a non-income measure. The probability of not surviving till the age of 40, that is life expectancy, what we have discussed. The adult literacy rate, the number of people who do not have access to clean water, and the number of small children who are underweight, malnutrition kids, taken into account to show the shortfall in human development in any region. Often, the Human Poverty Index is more revealing than the Human Development Index. But still, both these, Human Development Index and Human Poverty Index, both are giving a good picture, accurate picture about a situation of a particular state or a country. Now, the ways to measure human development are constantly being refined. As I have told you, many researchers are doing research and they are just trying to link many things. They are trying to take many things into account so that we can get a clear picture about human development. So the research is going on all around the world. Okay, here's a question is also there. No, researchers have found links between the level of corruption or political freedom in a particular region. See, India is a democratic country, and we have lots of we have good amount of, like what we say, we have freedom to many things. But there are countries where there are no freedom, even they don't have that political freedom. So there is also a discussion regarding a political freedom index and a listing of the most corrupt countries. So there are many countries where people don't have political freedom, they don't have right to vote or anything like that. But in the same way, there are countries which are corrupted. You know which is the most corrupted country in the world? South Sudan is known as known for its corruption. It is the most corrupted country in the world, and India's position is around 80. India's position is around 80 by the reports of 2018. Okay, in the report 2018, right? So can you think of other links to level of human development? So you have to think like what all things we can add for making a clear-cut picture of human development. But if somebody asks this question to me, I will just say that our attitude and the respect which we give to our fellow beings of our country, our state, or other country, or total world should also be taken into account. That's what I think. Okay, you guys can also think about something new. Okay. Now, let's talk about Bhutan. Bhutan is the only country in the world to officially proclaim the gross national happiness, GNH, as the measure of the country's progress. Material progress and technological developments are approached more cautiously, taking into consideration the possible harm they might bring to the environment or the other aspects of cultural and spiritual life of Bhutanese. Wow. That's great, right? So Bhutan is the only country which consider happiness of a particular person or happiness of their people, which they take into account for calculating human development, right? They just think that material progress and technological developments are approached more cautiously because they are giving importance to their culture. They are giving importance to their tradition. They just don't want to change according to time. Like they are actually following Buddhism. Okay, they in Bhutan their religion is Buddhism, and Buddha is always, he want peace, right? He don't like violence, right? He was an intellectual guy, right? So what Buddha taught them was to follow spiritual. He followed a spiritual thing in which he gave stress to peace and knowledge. So here people think that coming technology means new technologies and material progress can just hinder their tradition. So because of that, they just use these things very cautiously. This simply means material progress cannot come to the cost of happiness. See, if we have lots of things, if we have lots of material things with us, it does not give us happiness, right? The most important thing which a human being wants to be happy is peace of mind. Not only peace of mind, it's about if someone is truly liking us. That is the most important thing. That is the most beautiful thing which will just make us to feel happy. It's not about having an iPhone or a Lamborghini. That does not matter. But sincerity and loving fellow beings, that's the most important thing. That is the most important thing which will make you happy and satisfied in your life. Okay. So GNH encourages us to think of the spiritual, non-material and qualitative aspects of development. You can also follow this. You can also follow Buddhism. So you can also be free from all this techie stuffs, and you can feel yourself. You can be free from all the things happening around the world. You can just fill yourself with all spiritual thoughts, and you can be very much happy. That's what Bhutanese think. Okay. Okay. Now let's move on to international comparison. Okay. Okay. So international comparisons. International comparisons of human development are interesting. Size of the territory and per capita income are not directly related to human development. So size of the territory and per capita income are not directly related to human development. Okay. Often smaller countries have done better than larger ones in human development. There are some small countries. We just think that, okay, if a country is very big and their per capita income is very high, it does not mean that their human development would be much high. Even small countries, even they have very small territories, they have done much better than that of the big countries. Okay. Similarly, relatively poorer nations have been ranked higher than richer neighbors in terms of human development. See, both the things are there. For example, Sri Lanka, Trinidad and Tobago have a higher rank than India in the human development. These countries are very small, and their economic situation, their financial status is also very low than India, but still they have been ranked high in human development index. Similarly, within India, Kerala performs much better than Punjab and Gujarat in human development despite having lower per capita income. So in taking the case of Kerala, maybe our per capita income is very low because we don't have big factories, we don't have big industries, we don't have much land for agricultural stuff. We are not producing that much of agricultural production. Kerala is known for fish, Kerala is known for coconuts. We don't have other much things to say, like we have rubber, yeah, exactly, rubber is there. And we don't have much other thing to say that we have all those things. But still, Kerala is given much more higher rank. It can be because of that education facilities available in Kerala. In the same way, the health facilities, right? The health facilities in Kerala is much better than all other states in India. I think the best medical facility or medical infrastructure is in India. Even many people from other states are coming to Kerala for treating their diseases and all. So maybe because of that reason it may be like that. Okay. Now, countries can be classified into 4 groups on the basis of the human development scores earned by them. So the countries are divided into 3 major groups on the basis of their human development scores. I told you our human development scores are being calculated under 0 to 1. Okay. So according to that, there are 4 divisions. What are they? One is very high. What is very high? Above 0.800. There are 59 countries. The second one is high. What is that? If the score in development index is between 0.701 up to 7.799. Okay? And there are 53 countries. And medium, it is 0.550 to 0.700. There are 39 countries. And talking about low, that is below 0.541, and there are 38 countries. Okay? So this is how the human development or the criteria used to distribute countries based on their level of human development is done. Okay. So for now, goodbye. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care and have a nice day.